Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Victoria Online. My name is Carrie Hunter, and I'm the spiritual director of the center. And we meet in Victoria in the Cook Street Village Activity Center every Sunday. Meditation at 10:30 and the service at 11 a.m. So if you'd care to join us in person, we would love to welcome you. We'll have you there for the service and stay afterwards for a bite to eat and for a visit so that we can get to know one another. But today I'm recording this, and I'm happy to welcome you online as well. So my talk today is actually the series for this month is based upon the prayer of St. Francis of Assisi, which is so well known, I think, to everyone. We've all heard it somewhere, whether or not we're biblical scholars or even if we have had any spiritual teaching at all. It's such a famous one. So today I'm speaking from the first line of Saint Francis' prayer, which is, "Where there is hatred, let me sow love." And today I want to read something that was written by the great spiritual teacher Emmett Fox, and I'm going to open with that. It's called "The Golden Gate," and it goes like this: "Love is by far the most important thing of all. It is the golden gate of paradise. Pray for an understanding of love and meditate on it daily. It casts out all fear. It is the fulfilling of the law, and it covers a multitude of sins. Love is absolutely invincible. There is not difficulty that enough love will not conquer, no disease that enough love will not heal, no door that enough love will not open, no gulf that enough love will not bridge, no wall that enough love will not throw down, and no sin that enough love will not redeem." And of course, as we talk about sin, we know that in our teaching that it doesn't exist in the traditional way that it's thought of in churches, that basically sin is based upon a Greek archery term, and which meant missing the mark, and repent meant to try again, which is quite different from the kind of punishing, horrible thing that has been taught to us for so long by mainstream religion. And Emmett Fox goes on with, "It makes no difference how deeply seated may be the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, how muddled the tangle, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all. If only you could love enough, you would be the happiest, most powerful being in the world. God is love, and he who dwells in love dwells in God, and God in him." So there's no greater power in the universe than unconditional love. You know, we all feel that we touch upon it now and then, but true unconditional love is the love of God that is implanted in each one of us. It comes with us when we're born. We're not always awakened to it. I think probably as little babies, most of us feel it and express it. But there comes a point where we start to forget it, where we start to become judgmental, where we start to fuss over what somebody has said to us or what they've done to us. And feelings of love just go out the window. And the thing is that Ernest Holmes says that when we are connected to it, in other words, when we are connected to God itself, the divine power, intelligence that lives within us, that in us and through us, when we are connected to it, when we are awakened to it, we really are part of the greatest feeling, the greatest treasure in the world. It's remarkable. And if we're not feeling it, there's something going on in our lives that isn't working. And so we really need to examine where we have judgment about others, where we feel hurt, where we feel that we've been wronged in some way. We really need to start working on feeling the love for that person and letting go. Because what we're doing is we're giving them free rent in our heads, and we're just allowing the lack of forgiveness to take over our lives. And it's unhealthy in every way. And it's not something that typically we can just pin an idea upon. I mean, we have our own ideas about things, but we really need to understand that there are two or three or more ways of understanding what's just happened. And the best thing that we can do is to just love it out of the way. Never mind who the person is, what it is that has happened to us, to just express love. And if necessary, I find the best way to do it is just to say, God, love that person through me. Love that person through me. And love me through that person as well. And most of us who are practitioners or ministers, and we do have a few in our center, we get approached with challenging things from time to time. And there are times where I find myself just saying, oh, for the love of God, pour through me. Tell me what to do. Give me guidance. And one of the experiences that I had, I guess it was last year, I had a call from an elderly woman who attended our center years ago, but no longer could because she was having trouble walking. And she called me one night and asked me if I could come the next morning because she had set up hospice for her husband at their home, and there was 24-hour nursing care for him. And she asked me if I would come and administer last rites. And I said, of course I will. Got her address and hung up the phone. And then I thought, yikes, last rites, that's a Catholic thing, isn't it? But she did come to our center. So maybe she's a recovering Catholic. And then I thought about it and I thought, what do I do? I mean, only in movies have I seen a priest administering last rites. And I just thought, God will show me how. And so the next morning, as I was preparing to go over to her home, I was just sitting there just saying, oh God, help me, direct me, tell me what to do. And I went and picked up a small crystal dish and poured some oil in it, some scented oil. Or not in the dish, but I put that in a little bottle that I could pour into the dish when I got there. And I grabbed my Science of Mind textbook and thought, I know there's a reading in there somewhere that will help. And just God help me. So when I arrived, I was taken to this woman's husband's room where the nurse was sitting next to the bed. And there was another bed alongside his, which his wife slept in at night so that she would always be close to him. They're a beautiful, beautiful couple. And her husband had been in a coma for 30 days. And the nurse said that he was really coming to, his last breath. So I sat down and I just opened with a prayer and just allowed whatever to come through me. And then I picked up my Science of Mind textbook. And there's a meditation that Ernest Holmes has written that I really love. And it starts out with, child of all good, you are born of eternal day. And that to me is always a very comforting thought. We are born of eternal day. The sun never sets on the soul. The sun never sets on who we really are, because we really are eternal in our lives. We take on a physical garment and then we unzip it and step out of it. Our spirit, our soul goes on forever. And we need to remember that there is another dimension. There's a higher dimension that we move into. It is something that has a much higher vibration than where we are now and is so greatly expanded. It's not easy for us to lose someone even with that knowledge, but we can know for sure that we will see them again. Anyway, I read the meditation that Dr. Holmes had written, and then I kind of thought, what do I do now? So I poured the oil into a little dish, and it was just regular oil, but I had put the scent of roses into it, and I had kind of stirred that up, and then I had prayed over it before I got there. Now this man had been a professor at the University of Alberta. I didn't know a lot about him, but I knew that much about him, and so again, it was just God guiding me, and so I dipped my finger in the oil and I placed it upon his head and blessed his beautiful brain, and blessed him for all of the good that he did for so many people that he taught. And I blessed his mouth for the words that came out of his mouth, that gave information, important information to so many people. And I blessed his hands for the work that they had done, for the good that they had done, for the love that they had expressed as they held his loved ones in his arms, in his hands. And I blessed his feet for taking him wherever it was that he wanted to go in his life and wherever he was needed. And then I invited his wife and the nurse to sit in silent meditation with me. And when I felt it was time, I just, said, "And so it is," and did another short prayer. And this man who had not opened his eyes for 30 days opened his eyes. And he looked toward his wife. And then he closed them. And she was crying, the nurse was crying, I was crying. And it was as if he just opened his eyes long enough to express through his vision, his love, and a goodbye to his wife. And as I was driving home, I was just thanking God for whatever direction I was given to do whatever I was doing, because his wife felt so comforted, and especially because he had opened his eyes. So we never know for sure what we're going to do, when we're going to do it, where we're going to go, what's being called upon us to do. And the thing is, we need to step up and say yes and know that we are divinely guided, that we will be given the tools that we need for that one experience that may never be the same for anyone else, but will be the same. And know that God is always fully in charge, and that love is at the foundation of all that we do. So my talk today is Let Us Sow Love, of course, which comes from the first sentence of the prayer, where there is hatred, let me sow love. And St. Francis himself had been a soldier imprisoned. And he wasn't really a ne'er-do-well. He had very wealthy parents, but he wasn't the best behaved person on the planet. And if we believed in sin, we would say he'd done his fair share of them. But one day he had a vision. He had a vision of Jesus. And in that vision, everything for him shifted. He had been so lost. And the vision he had was of Jesus of Nazareth. And he knew that from that point forward, he was being called to teach what Jesus of Nazareth is reported to have taught and to have said. And people were healed in his presence. And he was a man of such peace and such love that wild animals would come up to him and lick his hands. And birds would come and sit in his hands in great peace. When we get rid of that hatred or get rid of negative feelings, it's as if the whole world opens up to us. The whole world sees it. The whole world hears it and feels it. People who are feeling unloved will act out in everything other than love. And so the more love that we can give to others, the more that we are healing people on this planet. And it doesn't take any special teaching to do this. What it does take is for us to go in our hearts and to really feel this at the deepest place of our being. In the book of John, in the New Testament, he says that love lies in our love for him, for the Master, not in his love for us. And so we're being directed to love the Master, to love God with all our hearts and all our minds. And the most remarkable things happen when we do. As I was preparing my talk for today, I was remembering something that I heard. It was a lecture by Byron Katie a few years ago. And of course, she had a miraculous healing in her life and has helped so many people with her teachings. But she, and this was after she had recovered from 10 years in her bedroom where she just thought she was going to die. And she rose up out of that place, becoming this great spiritual being, spiritual teacher. And she was in a tropical place on holidays. And one night she decided to go out for a walk. It was dark and she was just loving the evening air and the full moon above and the beautiful stars, and was walking along just feeling all of this love for all humanity and for everything on this planet. And suddenly somebody grabbed her and put a knife to her throat. And she said she wasn't frightened, but she thought to herself, this might be the way that I die. And then she said to this man, you don't really want to do this. You don't want to harm me in any way. That's not who you are. You're a beloved child of God. You know, this is not something that you do in your life. And I know that you're just going to let me go. And he did. He turned and ran. When there is so much love that can pour out of a person, negative things cannot happen. You know, we have to remember that this love is embedded in us, that we're surrounded by it, that it is everywhere. And when we only know to express it, only good happens in our lives. I think it was Ernest Holmes who said, and I'm not 100% certain, that hate is love that's going in the wrong direction. Isn't that a wonderful, wonderful comment? Hate is love that's going in the wrong direction. I love that. You know, we're being invited to remember who we are, that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And the spiritual being in us never dies. And that spiritual being is made of pure love. And it's up to us to access it. You know, and it really helps when we spend time welcoming beauty into our lives. You know, loving everything around us, loving the beautiful blossoms, the trees, the grass, the sand, the ocean, people around us, just sending out that vibration of love, of beauty, of recognizing beauty in everyone, finding something beautiful about each person. If we look, we will find. You know, seek and ye shall find. And so as we go into this month of May, this beautiful month of May, let us remember how important it is to stay in a place of loving, to be in a place of grace, remembering that as they did with Saint Francis, that animals will come up and lick our fingers, birds will come and sit in our hand. Now, how often have you been out perhaps sitting by the water in a kind of contemplative state, and a little bird has come hopping up to you, and it just stays there, it doesn't go away, it's not afraid? Or there's been someone with with a dog on a leash, and that dog stops running and wants to stop and wants to make friends with you. It happens. We need to be aware of these things. And I thought about it. I was in a coffee shop the other day, and there weren't too many people there. There were probably about a dozen people. And everyone was absorbed with whatever it was they were doing, myself included. I was working on my talk for today. And I guess after about 15 or 20 minutes, a woman came in with a little baby. She had the baby in a stroller, and the baby was fussing a bit. And I said to her, would you like me to hold your baby for you while you get your coffee? And she said, oh no, I'm used to this. I can manage. Thank you. And as she said that, the baby stopped crying and started looking around. And I would say he was 2 months old, because I asked. He was 2 months old. And all of a sudden, everybody was looking at this little baby, and you could visibly see the shift in them. Everyone started to smile. They had their hands over their hearts. They were looking at this little one, and just the greatest love coming out of them. You know, and I thought, it was so extraordinary, and it was such a beautiful moment. And I thought, Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could look at everybody who comes into our lives in that way, in the same way? If we remember that, if we remember to sow love, SOW, sow love wherever we go, as St. Francis did, we will know peace and love that goes beyond anything that we can understand, and we will feel our oneness with God. And so it is. Thank you for being here today. Again, if you'd like to join us in person, we would love to have you with us on Sunday mornings. And if you would like to send a donation, we're very happy to receive those too, because those keep our doors open and keep our ministry active in our city. So bless you all for all you do. I invite you to go to our website, www.cslvictoria.org, and you can learn more about us there if you don't know what we're about. And also there's a donate button there if you would care to make a donation to us. It will take you to PayPal, and underneath the word PayPal, you'll see fine print that allows you to use your debit card or credit card and bypass PayPal if you wish. Or you can send an e-transfer to donate@cslvictoria.org. We really appreciate it. We bless every Sunday. We bless the gifts that are given us. We bless those that come to us online and bless the people who give them. So just know that you are a blessing in our lives no matter what. And I'm so happy that you're here today and hope to see you again. Have a wonderful week. And let's get out and enjoy the sunshine and spread that love around. And so it is.